How you doing, guys? My name is Eddie Moore, and I'm here today to announce the release of my Elite workout programs on my website, getjackedwitheddie.com. I've been working out since I was 14 years old. I'm 50 years old now. I've been through a lot of trial and error. I've tried a lot of different things. And right off the bat, one of the first things I'll tell you is I have my systems, but they are not the only way to go. Anybody who tells you that their system is the only way, run the other way. My system works. I've used it. I've done it over and over again. I have variations, and I'm going to keep producing more and more content. But I would never sit here and tell you that the workout programs that I have are the only way to go, because there are several different ways to get to the same place. What it comes down to is what's best for you and what's most comfortable for you, because everybody's different. You know, there's no one size fits all when it comes to workouts. But the approach that I have on my website that I've just released, it's a high volume training. We don't go to failure. We come just short of it. Every once in a while we might fail on something, but for the most part, we're doing a little bit more high volume. We're keeping our reps generally around 12 repetitions. We're resting 45 seconds to a minute between each set. Why is all of this? Because this is a bodybuilding workout. We're not focused on strength. We're focused on size and definition, the full muscle bellies. So my approach is high volume to get the blood into the muscle, higher reps, which is going to get that blood going. Again, not focusing on 2, 3, and 4 repetitions for strength. We're looking for size. And, my approach for size is to go with the higher reps. Now, with the higher volume, we don't go to failure, because pretty much, if you've looked at this, or you get into this, or you research it, there's really 2 ways you can go. You can go low volume, where you're going to failure, extremely quick workouts, and, a lot more rest days because you need them with going to failure. Or the other approach is the workouts that I'm currently showing online, which is a high volume approach, where you can work out more often. You're doing more sets, more reps, but you're not going to failure, because if you were to try to go to failure on a high volume approach, you would just burn yourself out. If you look on my website, you're going to see that I got 2 different programs currently. I got my intermediate program, which I would not say is just for beginners. Even if you're advanced and you've been doing things for a while, I would definitely start with this one. It's a 12-week course, okay? I do a 4-day split. So the way I'm doing things, I have chest, back, arms, which would be biceps and triceps, and then legs. And I throw the calves in with legs, I throw the abs in with back. And if you notice right off the bat, you might say, where the hell is shoulder day? I don't have a specific shoulder day. And, not saying that that's not something that you can do and doesn't work, because it does work. But from my own personal experience through the years, I've been very lucky. I've been very smart with my training. I've had very little injuries. I've never had any surgeries or tears that required repair, okay? I've had some minor injuries, but nothing major. And one of the reasons why I think that is the high volume approach that I use. I think the high volume approach with the higher reps and the lower rest periods between sets, which means you're not going to be able to push as much weight, which doesn't matter at the end of the day if you're looking for strength, for size. Again, I want to emphasize, we're not concerned so much about strength. We're concerned about size. But I think because I've done that high volume approach without going to failure, I think personally that reduces your chances of injury. Now, getting back to the fact that there's no shoulder day in that 4-day split, obviously we're going to do shoulders, and it's one of the most important things as far as having the defined look. It's really what sculpts you. What I do is I break up shoulders into 2 workouts. I put the cap, side delt, on chest day, and I put the rear delt on back day. Why? I think they tie in well. You kind of work your rear delts a lot when you're training back. I mean, you're kind of right there, especially when you're doing pull downs. Face pulls is, almost like a back exercise in a way. So I think that's a great spot to put them. And I put the cap with chest. I don't work the front delt. I feel as long as you're doing enough incline presses, the front delt gets enough work. If you look around, you're going to see a lot of guys that have an overdeveloped front delt, not that great of a cap, and an underdeveloped rear delt. So they kind of look front forward. That's not the look you want. You want that round, defined cap, that boulder on your shoulder, okay? And that's what I'm focusing on with my workouts. Now, I basically do, for shoulders, 2 things. Side laterals with chest day, so you're working the cap, and that's going to be done with either dumbbells or cables, okay? And again, on back day, I'm doing the rear delt, and I'm using the rear delt machine or face pulls, or I'm doing cables for the rear delt, and that is basically it. You notice I'm not doing any shoulder press. Again, shoulder press works mostly, believe it or not, the front delt, okay? I feel like I'm already getting enough work with my chest workouts, and especially if you're doing incline press, which we do in my programs, you're hitting that front delt. I found that I got into a lot of problems with my shoulders, having a specific shoulder day where I'd have a lot of pain. You know, it's one of the most complex joints in your body. In fact, I think it is the most complex joint in your body, even more than your knee. And I always had a lot of problems. When I eliminated shoulder day and I just focused on side laterals and rear laterals, man, I'll tell you, not only did my pain go away, especially being 50 years old, but I got that 3D look even more than I had. And one of the things that I do have is great shoulders. And I kind of attest it to the fact that I do things in that way. But that's the split I do. It's a 4-day split, okay? As far as your days off, the way I do it is you kind of got to read your body. Most likely, you're going to do chest, then back, then arms, then legs, then probably take a day off and repeat. But if you need a day off in there, you can. And with the 4-day split, you know, you're really to the point where you can almost hit every body part twice a week, okay? If you feel good enough that when you go through all 4 days, you can go right back to chest. So in other words, let's say Monday you got chest, Tuesday you got back, Wednesday you got arms, and Thursday you got shoulders, okay? If you feel good and you're not sore, you could go back Friday for chest, okay? And if you think about it right there, that's chest on Friday, now that's back on Saturday, and that's arms on Sunday, okay? Legs are now going to be on Monday. You've almost hit every body part twice within a week, okay? Even if you take a day off or 2 in there, you're still only 5 days, maybe 6 days out, okay? So, you know, a lot of guys are into the bro split. I did the bro split for years. Believe me, Jay Cutler, I love the bro split, and it's still something that you definitely can do, okay? Especially if you do want to have a dedicated shoulder. Again, remember, the one thing you're always going to hear me say is that I'm never going to tell you that my way is the only way, okay? There's several different ways. You can do, you know, a 3-day split, push-pull legs, okay, where you're taking a day off, either at the end of that or somewhere in between it, okay? You can do a bro split, where you can even break the body down into 7 days if you want. You know, the thing with that is it's, you know, sometimes that works for people, sometimes it doesn't, but now you're getting to the point where it's 7, 8, potentially with off days, 9 days before you get back to a body part again, okay? Sometimes that works for people, sometimes it doesn't, okay? But I think I got a great concept here. I think you're going to like it. If you're used to having a shoulder day, especially if you're one of those older guys like me, and you got some shoulder issues, I would take a look at my program, because I got to tell you, I never had a tear in my shoulder, but I had frozen shoulder, and it got to the point where it was so bad that I literally was in the car and just put my finger out to press the volume on the radio was a problem, okay? And I don't have any of those issues anymore. My shoulders are perfect. And one of the things I attested at, again, is eliminating shoulder day. I think what ends up happening is, between all the work that goes into your front delt with chest, and then doing shoulder presses again, and front laterals, and all these different things, I think we end up overtraining the shoulder, and we run into problems. And again, if you got problems with your shoulder, it's kind of right there. It's going to make it hard for you to do pretty much anything else with the upper body, okay? So that's my split. It's a 4-day split. What I do is every 4th week, I throw in a deloading week. I think this is so important to have a deloading week. I can't tell you how important I think it is. And I think that's where a lot of people screw up. And again, one of the main reasons behind the deloading week is to prevent injury. And guys, I got to tell you something. One of the biggest things you got to do is you want to train hard. You want to work out as hard as you can. You want to be consistent. But what you also want to do is not get hurt. Because getting hurt is the easiest way to fall out of the whole game. Especially when you get older. You know, you see these guys my age that are 50 plus that are out of the game. They can't even do it anymore. And you don't want to be one of those people. You want to be one of those people that can work out and lift weights all the way up into older age. So every 4th week I do a deloading week. And the concept behind that is you're going to bring you're going to bring yourself down to where you're going very light. You're resting a little bit more. You're decreasing the volume. And it's kind of a reset week, okay? The best way I can look at it is if you follow the stock market, what do we know happens with the stock market? The stock market be going up like this, just like you're progressing in the gym. You're going up like this. Your numbers are going up. Your gains are going up. But what do we know is going to happen with the stock market? There's going to be a correction, right? So all of a sudden, no matter what, it's going to go down. Now, if you follow the stock market over time, the yield is usually, no matter what, which I think is pretty damn good, 7%, right? With those ups and downs. Well, it's the same thing with a deloading week. After 3 weeks of training hard, we're going to bring it down, okay? We're going to take a little bit of rest, and then we're going to start going back up again. By doing that, it allows you to keep progressing. Because let me tell you something, and I've learned this the hard way through trial and error. If you just keep going like this in the gym, harder and harder and harder, that injury is coming. Because you're never giving yourself that chance to get a rest. And remember, working out is a delicate dance. Lifting weights, resistance training, you're basically doing damage to the muscle. Now it's controlled, okay? You're basically damaging the muscle. They basically look like little bellies, like in an orange filled with water. You're basically damaging that muscle. You're basically putting a little bit of a cut in it. It's going to scar, and if you give it time to rest, it's going to heal, and it's going to get a little bit bigger, so it can fill up with a little bit more water. You're a little bit stronger, and thus that's how it happens. So the point is when you're continuously working out harder and harder and harder, and you don't give yourself a deloading week where you get a rest, you're pretty much asking for that injury because it's coming, okay? And I'll tell you one more thing, and a lot of guys who've been working out for a while, you're going to remember this. You're going to remember some of those lifts where you say, damn, I just had the best lift I ever had. I moved the most amount of weight with that. And then what do you have happen shortly after that? That injury comes, right? It's almost like when you get to that point where you have that personal best and you've come up, it's time to take a step back. It's hard to do because you don't want to do it, but those deloading weeks kind of force that in for you, okay? So every 4th week we're doing a deloading week. I change up the exercises a little bit in that 12-week split, and then I also show you, if there's certain exercises that are a problem for you. If you have an issue where a certain exercise doesn't work, I give you all the different variations of exercises that you can do, that will basically accomplish the same thing. And sometimes if you're going to the gym, maybe that piece of equipment just isn't in your gym, so you're going to have other options. And then of course, through my email address on my site here, you can always ask me whatever questions you have, and I'll get back to you usually within 1 day, okay? But check out my website. Go to getjackedwitheddy.com. You can click right on the link in my bio, and you'll see it right there. You can get into my program for $18.60. $18 and change. It's a one-time program. You can pay for it with a credit card, PayPal. You're going to get an email with the download. You can print it out. The way I have it set up is I have it printed out where you can write next to each exercise. Now listen, I was never one of those guys to walk around the gym with a pad and a piece and a pen. I just don't like that. Okay, if you do like that, that's fine. you can actually write in those exercises as you do it. The way I do it is I got a pretty damn good memory, and I like to just be free of paper and pen in the gym. I don't like that concept. I go through, I take note of each exercise, and afterwards, when I get in the car, then I'll write them down, okay? But it's nice to write them down because that way you know where you are and you know where you want to go next week, okay? Because remember, it's progressive overload. We want to try to use a little bit more, each time. And again, on that fourth week, we're going to come down a little bit. So guys, check out my program, okay? I also have a nutrition program on there, and then I have an advanced program, which is a 16-week course. I'd recommend that you do my 12-week course. It's called the intermediate program, which is the selling right now for just $18. It's on sale, okay, $18.60. I recommend doing that probably at least twice. It's a 12-week course, so that gives you 24 weeks right there. And then you can move on to my advanced program, which is a 16-week course, okay? And I have a nutrition guide in there, and I even have a bundle where if you want to buy them all up front so you got them, you can get all my programs for around $30. That's both my intermediate and my advanced, and my 12-week and my 16-week course, my nutrition guide, and my tracker. You can get them all for about $30. Okay, if you want to do the bundle, save yourself a little bit of money. If you do them all at once and you get everything ready to download, you can literally start my workout like an hour later. Okay, it's not something you got to wait. That's the beauty. It's all digital. You're getting an email and you're ready to go, and then you can bounce off me with any questions that you might have. All right, guys, again, click on the link in my bio, get jackedwitheddie.com, check out my workout programs. Have a great day.